Hi guys, welcome back to MICT episode 4. Today we're going to talk about inequalities and systems. We're going to look at two examples and know what we're going to talk about exactly. I have black today, remember? I fixed that thing. Alright, so here inequality 5 is greater than 3. Then it is an inequality, and or 5 is greater or equal to 3, or 2 is less than 5. So these are inequalities. So when you do inequalities, all of the rules are the same as solving equations except one. And this one is called the sign shift rule. So this rule says whenever you multiply or divide both sides of the inequality by a negative number, then the sign of the inequality symbol shifts direction. What does that mean? Let me give you an example. So say you have an inequality which is negative 2x is greater than 8. Then you want to find out what's going to be the domain for x, like how big or how small x has to be. So then you have to divide both sides by this negative 2 so that you can isolate x out. That's the same skill that we use for equations, remember? So let's divide this side by negative 2, and then you divide this side by negative 2, and then you get x on the left side and you get negative 4 on the right side. But since you are dividing both sides by a negative number, negative 2, you have to shift the direction of the inequality symbol here. You have to shift it as a less than sign. Just keep this rule in your mind and then you won't have any difficulties solving inequalities. Alright, so let's see if we can use decimals to help us a little bit understanding such problems. Let's just plug in negative 2x is greater than 8. And then you can see this red area is where you can have the x. So x has to be smaller than 4, right? Let's just zoom in here. So the number here is 4, and then all of the values in the white area cannot satisfy this inequality. Right, so decimals really helps. Let's just go down to the system of equations. I'm going to talk about this real system of equations from which you have two unknowns, like x and y usually. That's represented in this system. So usually you would have something like x plus y is equal to 5, right? And then you have x minus y is equal to, let's say, negative 2. All right, and then you have to find the value that can satisfy both of the equations in the system. So the easiest way to solve this equation is to just use decimals, your calculator, which actually you have access to when you are taking the real sets test. And I have already built this in our Emma Sets app. So just type in here, so x plus y is equal to 5, and then x minus y is equal to negative 2. Alright, and then find the point where these two lines are crossing through each other. Let's just make it full screen, and then we can see the point is 1.5 and 3.5. So the x should be 1.5, and then the y should be 3.5. So we just get it directly, right? So x is 1.5 and y is 3.5. That will work. Let's just verify these two answers by plug these two values back in the system, right? So x plus y, 1.5 plus 3.5, that really gives us 5. That's good. And then x 1.5 minus 3.5, that really gives us negative 2. That's good. So the answers are correct. But it's a good thing to learn how to solve the system of equations manually, right? So we can do that. So the first, let's just get another page. So the first method that we can use in the system, x plus y is equal to 5, and x minus y is equal to negative 2. We can use substitution. We can just change the form of this first equation and find the expression of y. So x plus y is equal to 5. And then in order to isolate y, we have to minus x over here and then minus x on the right side. So you get y is equal to 5 minus x, right? So we get this value for y, and we're going to use this to be plugged in the second equation. So the second equation, x minus y, and then y is going to be 5 minus x, which is equal to negative 2. And then unpack this thing. Be very careful about this minus sign over here. So x minus 5 plus x is equal to negative 2. And this equation changes to be 2x minus 5 is equal to negative 2. And then we're going to add 5 on the left side and add 5 on the right side, and we get 2x is equal to 3. And then divide the left side by 2 and the right side by 2, we get x is equal to 1.5. Once you get the value of 1.5, just plug it back in the first equation. X is 1.5. It's very easy for you to find out that y actually is equal to 3.5. So this method is called substitution, right? Just find the expression of y and then plug it in the second equation, and then get the value of x, and then plug the value of x back into the first equation and get the value of y. The third method is called elimination. So elimination. This method involves you to add the two sides of the function together, or just subtract sides of the function by the corresponding sides of the second function. Or add function 1 and function 2 together. Left side goes with the left side and the right side goes with the right side. And you might want to ask, why are you doing this? Because I see there's a positive y over here, and then there's a negative y over here. If I add them together, then the y is going to be eliminated. Yeah, that's why this method is called elimination. So the left side is going to be 2x, and then negative y and positive y, they're cancelled. You don't have anything left. And then the right side is 5 minus 2. You get 3, and then x is also 1.5. And then plug x back in either of these two functions, and either of these two equations, and then you can easily get y is equal to 3.5. All right, these are the three methods. But I do recommend you use decimals because it's going to be the easiest and it's going to be the quickest method to solve such a problem. All right, so if you feel like having more practice, just click the menu button and go to the dashboard. And then you have the drills over here on the top. Then you have this inequality and systems here. And click start. And then you will have these practices over here. But this one actually is the absolute value. We're not going to talk about that today. Let's just move down. And then you have this thing over here. Which of the following value of x satisfy the inequality, right? And you have the draft button over here. Click the draft button and move it to the left side. And then you can start to use this draft window to solve this problem. Let's just do this problem together. Inequality 2x minus 5 is greater than 9. So in order to isolate x out, we're going to plus 5 on both sides. Do we change the direction of the symbol, of the inequality symbol? We don't, because we add a positive number here. And addition, subtraction, it doesn't matter whether you get a negative number or a positive number. You don't change the direction of the symbol. So you have 2x on the left side and you have 14 on the right side. And this time you have to divide the left side by 2 and the right side by 2. Since 2 is a positive number, so you don't change the direction of the symbol. So x is going to be greater than 7. Alright, so that's going to be the answer over here. So is it 7 here? C? So let's see which of the following value of x satisfies the inequality of... Oh, you have to be very careful, right? So x has to be greater than 7. 7 is not greater than 7. So the only answer from the options is 8. 8 is the only one that is greater than 7. So we have to be very careful. Show the answer 8. You can also use the decimals calculator over here. Just click it out and then plug in the system over here. So we have x plus y is equal to 10, and then 2x minus y is equal to 8. And see where these two lines are crossing each other. So you have the point over here, 6, 4, right? So x is 6 and y is 4. 6, 4. Do we have 6, 4? So what is the value of x in the system? So x should be 6. And then again, if you're still confused about why such problems work this way, you can always talk with Emma, to ask Emma to explain things to you by clicking this green button over here. It's very simple and convenient. And then she explained that. And then you can say, explain more, right? So if you more about whatever that you're confused about. Alright guys, so that's, oh yes, just one more thing. Now the Emma Set app is also available on iPad, so you can download it on iPad and start to use it. So that's all for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.